Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Divinely Crowned Conversations podcast. I am your girl, Divina, and I am so excited that you decided to tune into this episode of the Divinely Crowned Conversations podcast. So, I am so excited today. I had the pleasure of interviewing my girl, the divine guest, Miss Vanessa Belen.
Yes.
Yes. I was like, okay, how do you say your last name the right way? Because I know everybody is always like saying whatever kind of way they want. But yes, so I got that right.
Yes,
so
you did.
yes. So we actually talked about doing this when I was going live just on Facebook.
Mhm.
And so I'm excited that we are doing this like on my official Divinely Crowned podcast. Okay.
Wow.
Yes. So before we get started, why don't you introduce yourself to the people?
I am Vanessa Belen.
Look, she said it real smooth.
Okay. A little bit about me. Let's see. I'm a Sagittarius.
Okay.
Well, you know our season's
It's
coming
coming. I was gonna say, I
soon.
feel like it's coming.
soon, you know what I'm saying? Looking at 42.
Okay. You look good, girl.
42, looking 24.
Okay.
You know. I mean, I don't feel 24 sometimes, but you know,
Listen.
it's all good though. It's okay. I fake it till I make it.
No, hey, you look good.
Thank
you look good.
Mom of 3.
Yes.
My youngest is 21, college student, senior. My daughter, she recently finished the Navy. She's 23.
Nice.
And then my oldest, he would have been 24. He
Yes.
passed away 7 years ago.
Yes.
Property manager for a living.
Okay.
Co-host on Chatting with Sonia and Friends.
Shout out to Sonia and
okay,
Friends. Thank you for letting me steal your girl tonight.
Yes. I sit on a few boards.
Wow.
Commissioner for the Governor on Latino Affairs. You know, I'm a busy woman. I
You
wear
are.
many hats, and sometimes I don't even know what hat I got on, but I wear them well.
Yes.
And just do what I do. I like staying busy, though. I enjoy it.
I love it. Yeah. I feel like we already got a lot to unpack with just that introduction. So on the Divinely Crowned Conversations podcast, we pretty much talk about the journeys of becoming the queens we were destined to be, you know, so from where we come from to where we're at now to where we're going. So I always like to start obviously at the beginning. So actually, before we even do that, let me tell you a little backstory about Vanessa and I, how we even connected. From what I remember, we connected. So I know I always used to see you like social media and out and about in the community, but we connected at a girls' night.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the first time I think we ever? Yes, at a girls' night at Alex's my cousin Alex, who owns She Vintage. She had a girls' night. I was just driving here and I was like, oh my God, I remember that night because we got the police called on us for laughing. Literally laughing.
We did.
So it was just, yes, we definitely did. I was like, wow, that's cool. Hello, Facebook user out there. I can't see. I don't know why Facebook doesn't like show who the person is, but shout out to you for joining. But yeah, so that's how we connected. And I guess since then we've just been mixing and mingling, and we're always connecting in some way. But you were just at my event with your son and we were vibing there. So that's how, you know, we connected. So I wanted to bring you on because I know you have a story. I know like I said, we talked about doing this before. So like I said, so let's go back to the beginning. What was young Vanessa like? Listen, when you start with a laugh like that means
yes. My mom used to always say that people would always tell her, oh my gosh, she's so quiet. And my mom's like, that's the one to watch. Because
it's always so the quiet ones.
Right, so it's the quiet ones. And now, well, I'm not so quiet, but only when I want to be.
That's listen.
Yeah, ain't no shame in my game. But I was a little bit of a wild teenager, I would say. I kind of would just like want to have fun and do things. And a lot of the times, I mean, that would get me in a lot of trouble. You know, I remember skipping school one day and literally ran into my mom. And I was like, what had happened was And she called the school and she was like, oh, is she there? And they was like, oh, she's not here. She's like, I know. I just called her skipping school. I'm like, damn, you a snitch.
How you gonna snitch on your child, mama?
Like, Mom, you know, you are right. Like, I love you. But I got grounded for that, of course. But it was so funny. It was just so unexpected that we just literally walked into each other. I was like, oh, I can't even like run. There's nowhere for me to hide.
Where were you at?
I was walking and I was over by the old Roosevelt building area before they tore it down. And I was walking in the park, like with my friends. And then somehow my mom was coming from that direction with my little brother because she was just coming from an appointment. And because at the time, like, we didn't have a car. So she was walking and somehow we just saw each other. And I was like, oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
She's like, like from afar. She was like, shaking her head. I was like, hey, I can't even lie about why I'm not in school. So
see, what happened was I got lost, Mom.
What had happened was... so I was a little bit of a wild teenager. I didn't finish school.
Oh, wow. Okay.
My mom was like, oh, you don't want to go to school? Okay, well, I'm not going to get fines either. So she dropped me out of school.
Wow.
She literally dropped me out of school. I kind of wish she would just be like, grab me by my ponytail, just make me go. But everything happens for a reason.
I was going to say.
I mean, I had a child after that, my firstborn.
Now, how old were you?
I was 17.
Okay.
When I had my first, my son. And then after I had my daughter, I went and got my GED.
Okay.
And I still graduated my class 2000 or whatever, woo woo.
Yes. I don't know how old it was.
That's a long time ago.
Right?
Such a long time ago. But I did. I made sure that I, went back. That was important to me to get my GED. Because regardless, even if I didn't understand it, I knew it was important for me to have my education.
For sure.
And I was the first one in my family to even get just an education like GED,
wow. That's huge.
Yeah. So I was like, I have to do this. And I just always knew I wanted better for my kids. So I knew that was like the start to go towards what I needed to go to. Okay. Eventually did 2 years. I went to Erie Business Center, which no longer exists.
I went there for 1 year. I think they were closing as I was like,
right.
Yeah.
I need a couple $2 back.
Right. Man. I know. Please. Can y'all forgive me?
Something.
Okay.
Listen, I signed up for that student loan forgiveness.
Yeah, okay. And now they cut it off for now. It's on hold.
I know. They playing with us. But so I made sure I did that too. It wasn't easy. By then I had 3 kids. So by the age of 20, I had 3 kids. But I made sure that I went to school.
Go ahead.
And I finished in like 2.5 years. And interestingly enough, I did not get a job in what I went to school for.
I feel like that happens like 50% of the time.
All the time. And so, but I kept the job. I did what I had to do. I took care of my kids, single mom for many, many years. And I could say, honestly, it wasn't until probably like 2014 that I could say I actually started a career.
2000. Wow.
That's crazy.
I feel like that's like crazy. Not long ago.
I know. It's so crazy. But like for me, that's real. Like I kept a job. I always worked like 2 jobs. I used to always stay so busy. But then it got to a point where I was like, God, like for real, I will quit this job. Like I need something different for myself. And within the same company at the time, I got a management position. Okay. And I was like, oh, Lord, you heard me because I was dead serious. Like I was going to quit. Like I meant that.
He be listening.
And I'm like, I'm telling you, I'm going to quit. And I was really serious because it was like I reached a point where I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like I need something different in my life. And if that means that I have to just like up and be done until I find something else, that's where I was headed. Yeah. Granted, I need money. Yeah. But that's where I was headed, literally. So then after that, I did that job for probably about 10 months. And then I interviewed for an executive assistant position within the same company. Okay. For the CEO that took over for that company. And I ended up interviewing for that job. And it's so funny because that ended up being what I went to school for was I went for the executive assistant program.
Look at how things come full circle.
Right. And it's funny because people were like, how'd she get that job? And, oh, it's because she cute. And no, because I have the freaking credentials to get the job. Like, do you want do you need me to pull out my degree? Like, just be quiet. And so, I did that job. And it's crazy because when I got that position, I was so excited. I was so happy. I was like, I got an office. And I came to work with a briefcase. I had one of my friend's moms who I knew for years. She worked in the same company and she gave me this like just dope suitcase, like briefcase for work. It was leather, burgundy, was just fire. And I was like, oh, I just know I look good. I'm wearing this every day.
Listen, okay, she was real confident even from a young age. Okay.
Listen.
So at this time, how old were you?
By then, let's see, 34.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
So it just goes to show that sometimes, like, just because things don't work out at the time you want them to work doesn't mean it's never not going to work out for you.
That is so true.
And I keep telling people that.
Yeah.
It's not your time. It's not when you want it to happen. God gonna make that happen.
He gonna make it happen.
So, yeah. So like when I was like, Lord, I'm gonna quit this job, I meant that like, God was like, I don't really want her to quit. So I'm gonna get her this other job, and then I'm gonna get her this other job.
Yes.
So I did that. And once I got that executive assistant position, that I was really super excited for, like 2 weeks into the job, my son was killed.
Okay.
So that was like, oh my God, I just started this job.
Yeah.
And now I got to be off work. Like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And my boss was really cool. And he made it really clear that he would have felt differently had he not met my son. So he met my son the same week because my son stopped at my job earlier in the week to bring me lunch. So I was like, oh, well, just come in, me, my boss, blah, blah, whatever. Lunch is like at 12. He brought me lunch at like 3 o'clock. I was like, it's cool. Like, I appreciate
my baby.
it.
Thank you, baby.
My baby brought me some cold fries, chili cheese fries. I'm going to eat these chili cheese fries. But he did say, he was like, had you not introduced me, I probably would have not been as easy on you about coming back to work because, I still need an assistant.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to come back to work and not do that, I would have given you a different position within the company, something a little less intense. And I was like, no, I'm keeping this job.
Yeah.
Like, I want this position. I said, this is what I knew I was supposed to be doing. And I was like, so no, I'm not going nowhere.
Wow.
So I did that for like almost a year. And unfortunately, like, I was laid off.
After all this,
lost my son.
You lost your son,
and then months later, I lost my job.
Wow!
Because the CEO of the company was not a good guy.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, he was stealing from the company. So it was like, your position was created. So he no longer works here. Now you no longer work here.
Wow! And this was the guy that said he wouldn't have. Wow. So so let me look at the comments real quick. We have the social experiment said, hey now. Treasure said, wow, that's deep. And then she said, did I miss what the position was? Go ahead and
It was executive assistant.
Executive assistant in a company that she worked at. So, wow. There's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, that was a lot. I'm like, man, literally when I went to sit with HR and the assistant director for that company, they both sat down with me to tell me that I was being like, crying. I mean, this is
they're crying,
grown men crying.
Oh my
we're
god,
crying together because they were like, they were like, it's being unfair to you.
Yeah,
and you've suffered so much. Like, we're so sorry. We did not want to let you. Like, I mean, we were crying. We cried in the office for like 2 hours.
Oh my. Don't make me cry.
It was crazy. I'm like, oh my god, like these two grown men are crying with me. But they were always really nice, and there were people I already had established relationships with prior to even getting to that position, because I've been in that building and just being in that agency for so many years. I was friends with everybody. So yeah.
Wow.
So it was a lot.
First of all, that speaks volumes to the character of you for them too. And even though you said you knew them beforehand, but for them to be like, listen, I know that you're bringing value to this company, and we have to like do this to you, and we hate it. On top of what you're already going through in your personal life when it comes to grieving. So it's just, wow.
Right.
So real quick, listen, first of all, I know the comments about to be blowing up.
Bring it on, y'all.
The comments.
What y'all want to know?
Treasure says it's too much for one person to handle. And then my boo, Hezekiah, your boo.
Yes, my baby.
He said, I can't believe he was stealing estimate.
You know what? It's true. He really was. He was convicted. So it's not like it wasn't alleged. He was convicted, and he was found guilty and had to serve some time.
Wow.
And because of his actions, like, it cost me losing my job. Even though I had nothing to do with what happened.
For sure.
The position was a created position. So they were like, well, we don't need you. I was like, okay. Like,
wow.
I was sick because I've always worked.
Yeah. Yes. And you said since before you went to school, you
working. Like, and so I was like, what am I going to do? Like, I was already thought I was already going to give up my apartment and go move in with my parents. Just to get away from where I was living. And then I lose my job. Yeah. And then I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? Like, I already told the landlord I'm leaving. Like, I can't afford to stay here, obviously, because I don't have a job. Because, of course, even though you get unemployment now, that's never going to be enough. Yeah. And so then I ended up not being able to move in my mom's house because then some people who felt like I'm the problem fighting for justice shot up my mom's house. So now I couldn't go stay over there because I'm like, I don't want to bring that to my mom's house. And literally they shot at my mom's house like 9 times. Oh my gosh. All because I'm fighting for justice. And I do want to talk about that because I mean that's a lot of your story as you're growing in this as this queen, this strong woman that you are. So let's kind of I guess talk about like your journey through the grief and the loss of your son. And I mean, I know it's public to what happened, but I guess do you want to share, like, for those who might not know anything about how your definitely son... I don't mind sharing that. Elijah was 16. He himself and his friends had went to a house party after the Save an Eye game. It was July 24th. 2015. Okay. Yeah. I saw him that morning, nothing abnormal. I told him I loved him. You know, I'll see him later. He was like, you know, be safe. And I'm like, well, you be safe. I'm only going to work. Like, but he did say that to me. So I gave him a kiss and a hug, left him some money on the counter and stuff. And I went to work. And then after work, I had an appointment. And then after my appointment, I stopped at my sister's. And so, like, by the time I got home, it was probably like 6 o'clock. And I was like, man, I'm hungry, but he's not here. So I'll wait till he gets home because then I'm not going out this house twice, you know? And because my other 2 kids were in New Jersey at the time visiting their uncle. Okay. On their dad's side. So, you know, he still didn't come home. And then I had watched the news and I saw, the Save an Eye football game. So I said, he ain't coming home. Like, but I was too tired. I was like, I'm just going to go to sleep. Because I was like, I'm not leaving. I'm tired, even though it's a Friday night. So I went to bed, and interestingly enough, I pray for my kids every day. This is just what I do. But that night, I only prayed for him. Interesting, right? Like, that's very interesting. Like the way when I went to bed, I could literally see the moon, and I was like, I pray for my kid. I was like, you know, watch over him, like, and protect him, not knowing why I was even saying it. Yeah. And so I just went to sleep. Like nothing. I was like, all right, I'm going to sleep. Yeah. Because I was like, when he gets home, like, he'll wake me up. Yeah. And for anybody who might be concerned, like, how he's, 16-year-old being out, whatever. It's summertime. Listen, and he's 16. For sure. For sure. I mean, and yeah. Because people had a lot to say after all this happened. Like, where was his mom and all this stuff. Which I think is, unfortunately, always the statement for things. Because they never went to parties after a football game. Exactly. And I think they might have been a little bit more... Right. Yes. So I get a call from one of his friends. They called me on Messenger, and I'm like, what's going on? And they're like, we were at a party, and we think Elijah was shot. They're saying he was shot. And I'm like, okay, calm down. Like, but we can't find him. And Elijah didn't have no phone because at the time I had him kind of like on punishment. So I was like, a phone is a privilege. Yeah. So now I'm not turning your phone on. But he would always hit me up through Wi-Fi, like, because he would always be at somewhere where there was Wi-Fi. So I couldn't call him. He wasn't answering. So I was like, all right, well, look, if y'all find him, call me. If I find him, I'll call you guys. And so I called my sister. She came and got me. Come to find out, my nephew was with my son too at the party. And he was a few, like 3 years younger. So he was like with big cuz, you know? Yeah. So we ended up getting to the scene of where everything happened. And it was like pretty much an all-night process, like hours of trying to find out what was going on. And it's crazy because when I first got there was like 3 or 4 kids that walked up to me and they were like, just tell her. And then the one's like, no, I don't want to say nothing. And I'm like, I heard them. So I was like, tell me what? Like, just tell me whatever it is. Like, just tell me. And they were like, don't let the police lie to you. That's your son laying back there. He's dead. And I was like, thanks for telling me.
Yeah.
Like, I just let that go over my head. Like, no, and I was like, all right, I'm glad y'all good. Like, get home to your parents, whatever. And I just went over to where the police were. So it was a lot of going back to all the hospitals more than once.
Yeah.
Until finally, like, one of the officers identified him by his picture that someone showed him and was like, that is him.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it took everything in me not to jump over yellow tape and all this craziness, but it was rough. Like, and it's crazy because just like how you see it in the movies when they tell you, like, the worst news of your life, I literally dropped to the ground. And I'm like, oh my God, like, this is real.
Yeah.
I dropped to the ground, and I remember seeing my mom and my stepdad, like, they had came to the scene. A few of my friends were there. Like, literally everybody was around. That's close, to me, because we didn't know what was going on. We had multiple stories.
Yeah.
They were saying so many kids were shot. It was just a lot.
I can imagine.
So I remember watching, and I saw my mom when she saw me drop. She's like, no, that's not my grandson. He's hiding. He's being a punk. Like, no. So that was a lot to, like, take in.
I can imagine.
So, like, and then the coroner's office and them would not let me identify him myself, which I made a big deal about because he was really rude and disrespectful and told me that I was not special. And so I just kind of went off because I'm like, I'm not asking for any special privileges. I'm telling you that his mother and father should be the ones to identify him.
Exactly.
Not no stranger.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just refused. And so until I went to the police station, and a detective, he was super nice, who ended up being one of the detectives on the case, he was like, let me go see, like, who they're saying passed away, like, what he looks like, all that stuff. And I was like, all right. So he comes out like 10 minutes later, and he described him to a T. Everything he had on, his jewelry, everything. And I was like, and so I won't lie to you, like, I went outside with his dad, and I was like, I don't care what you need to do, but you need to find out who did this. And
in your motherly way.
And they got to
in
go.
Your motherly way. I don't listen. There's no shame in that.
I have to this day. I don't have any shame that I said that. Do I want that? No,
for sure.
But that's how I felt at that time. Because regardless of how I feel and the pain I got to deal with every single day, like, I don't care how much I don't like somebody, I would still never want them to experience this. You know what I mean? Like, there's, it's supposed to be grandparents, the parent, then the kid, like the cycle of life when it comes to death. And that's not what happened here.
Yeah.
So, I would never want nobody to experience what I felt, having to lose my son, especially in that way where he was killed for doing nothing. He was chilling at a party.
Yeah.
And he had nothing to do with it. He was not the target.
Yeah.
And that, like, he just was caught in the crossfire.
Yeah.
And then to only find out that one of his friends that he went to the party with, who was also 16, was killed that night. So it's like, dang, we got two kids, same age. They went to the party together and they left together. Like, that's how I look at it.
Yeah.
So It's just, it's just crazy. Like, till this day, sometimes I'm like, I can't even believe, like, that's my life.
Yeah. And I just want to tell you, thank you for sharing that, because I can imagine it's hard. And I can't imagine, what that feels like. But I appreciate you for being honest, being transparent and being open enough and feeling safe enough to share that, because I remember, I don't even remember how old I was in 2015. I think I was like 25 or something. But I remember all that. I remember hearing stories and stuff. I don't think I knew you at this time, but obviously everybody has these stories during when chaos like that happens. Right. And it's like, to be able to hear your side, your truth, I think it makes a whole world of a difference, because you're living this, you know what I mean? So I commend you for that. So you are saying, you said in the midst of this, now you're fighting for justice. And I've seen that. Yeah. So what, and then you said that people are shooting up your mom's house because you're fighting for justice. So, like, take me through that experience. Like, how, I'm assuming you're still kind of going through the fighting for justice.
Yes, in the sense of I will never let it go.
Right.
Ever. Till my last breath. And I think that's fair.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
And for anyone to say that it's not, then you better hope and pray you're never in my position. And if you are ever in my position, and I've said this before, for those who ended up making me out to be the enemy, you better hope and pray you're never in my position and you lose your child in that type of way, because then you're going to be looking for people like me to come and talk to you and be there for you and give you advice and guide you. And you know what I'm saying? And look to me for motivation and inspiration on how do I move on with my life. But yet you were dogging me out like I was the problem when all I was doing was my job as a mother. Simple. And here my family's had to be the one to suffer that. And it's like, are you kidding? And literally, because it was somebody connected, because you know the streets talk. It was somebody connected to those involved in the shooting. Their family member didn't like that I was fighting for justice, and they had one of their people shoot up my family's house. And it's crazy because the person that set that up is now sitting in jail for life for murder for somebody else. So it's like, karma has a way of coming back and biting you where it needs to be bitten. So it's like, you try to get us and look what happened. Now you're the one that's suffering. Now you're the one sitting in a jail cell, you know, wishing you'd have did things differently because you didn't took somebody else's life. You know, so it's kind of why I ended up not moving in with my mom because that happened. And I was like, I don't want to bring any more, you know, drama to my mom's house. So I ended up staying with my best friend at the time. You know, I stayed with her for like a year because I couldn't find a job. You know, they convinced me to wait on finding a job. They're like, well, just take like a month or two off. You know, you've had a lot going on. You've not taken time for yourself. And I'm like, I guess, you know. And so after taking some time off, and I'm like, okay, I need a job. I could not find a job.
Wow.
I was jobless for like 10 months. And it got to the point where I was like, Lord, if you don't find me no job, I'm going to 302 myself. And I meant that. Like, I was really at that point where, and that was, I told, you know, sometimes I do cuss when I talk to God. But
listen, exactly. Listen, he the main one you allowed because he is gracious. Okay,
listen, me and God, we here.
You so, there? He knows what it is.
He know my heart.
Yeah,
that's how I look at it. I
cuss, but God knows my heart.
That's right. God created me.
Yes, He did.
So he created a cussing child. I am a child of the Lord.
Yes.
But like I was really like God, and I had interviewed for a job a month or so prior to me telling God that. I was sitting with a friend who was going through chemo. And so I'm sitting there, you know, just chilling because there's not much else to do. We got to sit there for hours. And I'm like, God, I'm so serious. Like, if I don't get a job, like, I'm going to 302 myself because I'm literally going crazy. I was like, my savings is running dry. Like, something's got to give. And then I get a phone call. That day, as I'm telling you, it was divine interference, like just literally. Yes. And I get a call, and you know, the lady's like, you know, I know I interviewed like, you know, a month ago, but the job that you interviewed for, I'm gonna give that job to somebody else. But this position opened up as an assistant manager to oversee a low-income housing property, and I was like, I'll take it. I was like, I don't know nothing about hood or low-income housing or any of that stuff, but I need a job. I'm going to take it. And it didn't require me to travel, so that was even better because the other one required me to travel a little bit. And so I started working a couple weeks later, and I ended up loving what I did. You know, I worked at Richford Arms downtown for a few years as an assistant manager. And then now I'm the property manager for High Point Towers, which is even bigger than Richford Arms.
Still to this day then.
And now I'm overseeing a 132 apartment building with 2 commercial floors for the hospital and a credit union. So, you know, God has a way of like making sure things work out for you. You just gotta keep the faith.
You do. And that was it in like, I know I've always said like or I've even heard, but I've always like kept that in the back of my head. There's a purpose for your pain, even when we don't understand and why things happen. There's such a bigger purpose for it. And for you to just like, your journey has been crazy.
It's crazy. I never thought would even be when I was in front of cameras. It was because I was fighting for justice. I didn't care who could hear me. Somebody was going to hear me.
Somebody was going to hear you.
I meant that.
Yes.
And so, you know, I didn't get into the spotlight because I wanted to be in the spotlight. Like, I was cool with just being a mom of 3, working a 9 to 5, coming home, and nobody in the city knew who really I was.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because I remember somebody making a comment about that before, and I was like, do you know what I lost to be in the spotlight?
Yeah.
I'd give it all back and some. This is not what I asked for.
Yeah.
You know? And so for somebody to make a comment like, oh, she got a taste of the spotlight. First of all, I didn't ask for the spotlight.
Exactly.
But I'm sure enough going to use that spotlight to shed light on what happened to my son.
Yeah.
And what happened to the other young men and those other young boys who were shot and lived. I'm gonna take that spotlight all day long.
For sure.
And unfortunately, I mean, we thought we got justice, but we didn't, because the person is now a free man. The courts overturned his murder conviction of 43 years, and now he's a free man. So, you know, that's just, if I have to worry about anything, that is my only worry, is what am I going to do when I run into this individual? Like, how am I supposed to react? How am I supposed to feel?
Yeah.
You know, think, what, you know what I mean? Like, because Erie is small.
Yeah.
And it's going to happen one day.
Yeah.
I'm going to run into this person. So, you know, if I have any worries, that is my only worry. Like, what do I say? What do I do? You know?
Yeah. Do you feel with that? Like, do you feel like you've, like, because I watch these, like, I watch like court shows and stuff, and there are people that like will literally be like, you know, I forgive you. But do you feel like you're there? No. And that's okay.
No, and it's interesting, and this is my own opinion. This is my own thought process about things. I don't have to forgive.
For sure.
You know, they say, oh, you forgive people for you and all this other stuff. I think that's situational. Because why should I forgive you when you don't deserve it? And you've done nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, to show that you deserve forgiveness. Because all I heard was the word, I'm sorry, in the courtroom. I didn't hear an explanation. I didn't hear, even if you stood with your conviction saying that you didn't do it, you were there. You saw what happened.
Yeah.
You know exactly what went down. So for me, it's, you've done nothing to actually show that you're sorry. And I don't need to forgive in order for me to live my life, because I'm living my life.
Yeah.
I'm doing well. I'm blessed. I keep it humble. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I deal with my emotions when I need to. So I'll, you know, like I've told other people this, I go through the motion of my emotion to get through that emotion.
Feel everything you need to feel. That's always what I say.
Whether it takes me 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I'm like, all right, get it together, girl. Because you ain't about to have no crazy bags under your eyes. Yeah. Because these bags are expensive.
They are. Listen, I know. Yeah.
They're expensive to get rid of.
They are.
You know, it's costly to be a woman.
Okay.
And look good.
They look good.
To maintain.
For sure.
You know, so no, I don't feel like I have to forgive.
Yeah.
I do not forgive. And I've been asked before, like, would I talk to the family member? Like, would I talk to his mom or whatever? I'm like, no. What for?
What for?
I'm not here to console you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what it is. It's to console. And I'm not consoling you when you did nothing to console me. When my son used to be hanging at your house, spending the night, your other son used to come and hang out at my house all the time. I used to give him rides to work and stuff. And here, what have you done to show me that you're sorry?
Yeah, that's heavy.
You know, so no, I'm not here to console nobody and make them feel good. At the end of the day, you know, you guys know what you did. You got to live with that consequence. You know what I'm saying? And even though I might have not got the justice that I wanted, which is somebody sitting in a prison cell, you know, there's, I had somebody tell me there's something called a natural order, like natural law. And there's a justice that I may never see it, but that person will have to not suffer, but in those terms, but they will have to pay for what they did, because you can't take a life and expect to live your life. So at some point you will have to pay for that. And I mean, I'm not trying to be funny. I asked God, I'm like, can I be there to see that? Because I feel like sometimes I need to see things, but I know I will never see it because it's not meant for me to see.
For sure.
I just have to move forward. And that's what I do. Because at the end of the day, I got my kids.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? My mom, I got nieces and nephews who suffered just as tremendously as my son and my daughter. And they're all watching. And I'm like, if they see me that I'm doing what I got to do to move forward, they're going to do it too.
For sure.
They're going to see that it's okay to move on.
Yeah.
You can grieve. Grieving is going to be forever.
Forever. And that's definitely what I wanted to kind of say, because I worked at the Caring Place. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that.
Yeah, but we did the program.
Yeah. So learning before I worked there, like, I didn't really understand the process of grieving. Like, death is like, it's always was a touchy subject. And for me to have that be a touchy subject and then work in that place, it was like I was meant for me to work there. Because it was like I learned so much about just the constant, it's a cycle. Some days it's, hey, I'm okay. And then the next day it is So like, what would you tell someone? Because I feel like there's also a lot of things with the mental health, because you even said, like, there was a time where you're like, God, I'm gonna 302 myself. And I feel like that's a real thing to say.
It was very serious. I meant that.
Yeah. So how have you kind of coped? Because like I'm like, listen, grieving, you're gonna grieve probably you're gonna grieve the rest of your life. It's not probably.
It's forever.
But how have you kind of dealt with your mental health in this way? Or how would you encourage somebody else to deal with their mental health, especially a mother who has lost a child? Like, what would you tell somebody who was like, Vanessa, like, how are you doing this? And what can I do to save myself from this?
I will say that I allowed myself to feel what I needed to feel and go through whatever I was going through, however I needed to go through it. And I mean, alcohol, you know what I'm saying? Like, when I am a social drinker, so I did socially drink, but when I socially drank, I overdid it. And so luckily I had, a support system that was like always there for me to help me through that and just kind of like let me go through my process of what I was experiencing. Because I used to tell them, like, if I snap out when I'm sober, that's when you should really worry. I said, because then I didn't drink or nothing, and I'm lost. Like, I'm not there. I said, that's when you have like full permission to 302 me. You know what I mean? But definitely, like, alcohol. I ate a lot. I gained a lot of weight at the through that process. Like in the first couple years. And I remember when I was going to therapy prior to my son passing away. So I was seeing a therapist weekly. And so I remember when right after my son passed away, I used to see her every Wednesday. So I just showed up at her office like my normal, nothing. And I went in there and sat down like nothing. And she was like, so how you been? What's been going on? Her usual question. Yeah. And I was like, well, my son was killed the other day. And she just like, she was a white lady, but she turned like to Casper the ghost, how white she turned when I said that. And like, she hurried up and called her assistant and was like, cancel the rest of my appointments. Wow. And she got off the phone and she just bawling her eyes out. And she said, I heard the story, but I didn't know it was, your son. And I was like, yeah, it was my kid. Like very just nonchalant, like not crying, not like upset or nothing. I was just like, yeah, that happened. It was like nothing. Like I didn't know how to react or feel or anything. And she was a really, really nice therapist. She was really good to me. She came to my son's viewing. She came to his funeral. And then like we had a benefit and she donated like all kinds of stuff and spent money. Oh, that's a good therapist. She was fired. That's like, a great therapist. So I saw her for like a while, but then I was like, I just stopped going. And that was my process. I was like, I'm good. So I feel like you have to let people go through what they need to go through the way they need to go through it. For sure. If you see someone drinking a little too much, just watch how, like, when they're doing it. You know what I'm saying? You have to be careful and not overstep your boundaries. I don't care how close you are to that person. You have to watch your boundaries. because you don't know what they're experiencing like. So there's really no words. And I tell people this, even if you don't have nothing to say, just be present. I think being present is super important. Like, we could just sit in silence. I'm cool with that. Because sometimes that's just what a person needs, is just silence. But I did do the therapy thing for a while. I did do the caring place with my kids. And that's when I did learn more about, like, the stages of grief. And I was like, dang, everything they said I already did. And worse, you know?
Yeah.
But I did things to more so, like, in a way, I felt like I wasn't allowing myself to be happy, because I felt like why would I be happy? Why should I feel good? You know, my son's not here. You know what I'm saying? So I used to, like, kind of self-sabotage for a while. And then it got to a point where I was like, you know, I had someone tell me, like, I need to really just kind of maybe chill, settle down. And it was somebody that I love and care for, that I respect what they were saying.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, you might be right. You know? Maybe I should settle down, I don't know, all these things. And so, which eventually led to meeting who I'm with now, my significant other. And like, he's definitely, like, that's home for me right there. Like, you know, I'm happy and I love being single. Like, I will not lie to you. And he knows this. We've talked about this. Like, I do enjoy it, but he has been an added bonus to my life. Like, he knows that I don't need him. I want him. And so, because I do enjoy being by myself, I enjoy, you know, like, just the coming and going and just, you know, getting to know people and all that stuff. But, like, he really is a huge part of my peace, like my home, my safe space, like, which was super important to me, that I never felt that with nobody. And so, like, that has been beautiful. So that's been a huge part of, like, my healing process, of, like, being with somebody that allows me. And I don't even want to say allows me, because I don't even like when people use that term, because you don't know nobody to do.
But I get what you're saying, but go. And why don't you elaborate? Because I do feel like we as women, we do say that, because, like, you ain't gonna tell me what to do, but allowing, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm just like, I'm gonna just kind of my translation of what you just said. So pretty much, it's being able to, allowing you to feel safe being who you are.
Yes.
And he's okay with that.
Right.
So I get it. Don't worry. Because but I get some people don't. I feel you. I'm a lot too. I trust and believe.
But I shouldn't not be.
Because it's who God made you.
Right. And I feel
but you also,
you know, I just feel like I carry a baggage that is very heavy. You don't see it. It's an invisible baggage. You know, they say, oh, God gives you what you can carry. Well, listen, here, I ain't asked for this bag.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't ask for this bag, but you gave it to me. So now I got to carry this. So it feels good to me to have somebody who will help me carry that.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, to help me lighten that load, because, man, that bag is heavy.
Yeah. For sure. So, and you know what? You saying that, like, I feel like we all have baggage. We all come with baggage. And some people cannot handle our baggage.
No.
I think we literally, as adults, millennials, like, we all have baggage. You are not going to meet anyone who doesn't have some type.
Right. And
I really believe that there are connections you have with people that are like, okay, listen, your baggage is heavy, but I see something in you and I'm willing to hold it with you.
Right.
And I think that's a beautiful thing, because some of us may never have that, and some of us may experience it in different ways. So for you to be like, listen, I have somebody who is my peace, like, having somebody that's your peace, like, you see it, the dating world out here, it ain't pretty.
No.
So to even have somebody and even talking and sharing with other women out there that are like, because I feel like sometimes we have these crazy expectations of what we need in a significant other, and it's like, sometimes all we need is somebody to say, like, listen, you got a lot of bags, but I'm okay with carrying them because I value you. I see the amazing things in you. And I think that's what we miss in relationships, in friendships, especially with the opposite sex, because that's something I've been learning, like, you know, like, just having a good, genuine connection with somebody who values you and cares for you and, you know, lets you be you. And it's not has to be this romantic thing either. So that's wow. You just have so much. Let me get in these comments real quick. Oh, everybody's emotional in the comments. comments. Treasure, I love you because you be supporting, and I just want you to know I can't wait till you on here because somebody better be in the comments for you, okay? So Treasure said, "What in the world?" Jacayla, she put a sad face. Elaine put a little emotional face. We love you, Elaine, too. Yes. Jacayla, she said, "You're so strong to be able to retell this story seriously," with a crying emoji. Elaine said, "Lord Jesus." Treasure, praying hands. Elaine, come on now. That's when you was preaching. And she said, "Karma." Asia, she said, "Swear." Elaine said, "Look at God." And Jacayla said, heavy on keeping the faith. Thank you. So, and I appreciate you all for tuning in. Vanessa, you have a powerful story. You do. And I thank you for sharing, because that's a lot to like Jacayla said, like, to retell that story and be, I don't know if I could do what you're doing right now. You know what I mean? So I commend you on that, like, truly. So I know now you're kind of in the political world.
Yes and no.
Okay.
I did run for city council a few years back in 2019, and I didn't win, which is okay because I felt like I didn't lose. You know, people were like, "Oh, what are you gonna do now that you lost?" I'm like, the same thing I've been doing.
Yeah.
I said I sit at almost every table that they do.
Back.
So I said, except I don't have, the stress of it like they do. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I'm not changing nothing. I'm gonna just keep doing what I'm doing and better. Like,
yeah.
So, and throughout that whole time, I mean, I've been a commissioner for the governor now 6 years.
Wow.
Of Latino Affairs for Erie County, which has been a really, like, grand experience for me to be, a representation to, my community. I mean, those who know me know I fight for the black and brown all day.
Okay, gang. No, not gang. We should probably not say.
But listen.
Okay.
But I do like that I am, a representation to the the Latinx community. Latino, Latinas.
Listen,
whatever y'all want to call yourself,
people.
I'm with it all. So yeah, I mean, I've been asked if I'm gonna get into the political arena again. It's not off the table, but I'm so busy.
Yeah.
Like, I have a full-time job. I sit on different boards and councils. Being a commissioner, having time for myself and my family. Sitting a co-host,
yes.
So, like, and over the summer I started a blog, like,
okay,
it's called lifeofagriever.com.
Okay, and put the plug in, lifeofagriever.com. I did not know that. Why don't you promote that?
Nobody really knows it. I just haven't really gone out of my way to promote it because I will say to you, like, this year has been pretty tough, and I'm gonna say why. It's because we've had so many shootings, and I mean, not just in Erie, just in general, like all these school shootings and the Uvalde and Buffalo, like all that stuff has been nothing but PTSD for me. It has been triggering.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because, like, the news outlets will reach out to me like I'm the face of, like, gun violence victims. And it's like, no. And I literally had to tell somebody, like, this stuff is PTSD for folks, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, I didn't know that. I'm so sorry." And then she was like, "Well, do you know anybody else?" Like, I'm like, "Did you not hear what I just told you?" Click. No.
The news. Oh, I took in communications. I learned so much. I was like, yeah.
They have no best eye
They
manner.
do not.
They only want the story. And it's
wow.
I don't mind talking to the media sometimes. But 9 times out of 10, I tell them no, or I just don't respond because I don't feel like I have to.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for a story. You are.
You are.
I am the story. Apparently, you always think I'm the face. And I've had somebody, I remember dating somebody once, and literally, probably in that first month, everywhere we went, somebody knew who I was. And it was always, "I'm so sorry for your loss. And, oh, you're so strong." And, and it was like, it got to the point, one day he was like, "You're literally the face for what you're going through. Like, you are the poster child for mothers who lost a child." And I'm like, dang, I never thought about that, but you're right.
Yeah.
And I didn't ask for that either.
Yeah.
I don't mind helping people. I do not. Like, anybody who's lost a child, whether it's a man or a woman, you know, because sometimes we forget about the dads too,
Mm-hmm.
and they going through it too.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't mind helping people. I've had many people reach out to me and I talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times when situations happen here in Erie, you know, if I have the energy, I will reach out to them privately.
Yeah.
And send my condolences and offer to be there for them. You know what I mean? If they want to talk, even if you don't want to talk and you just want to sit in silence, I'm like, I will sit there with you.
Wow.
But there are times where I haven't because I literally cannot do it because it's so much. It's so sad. And it's just, it takes everything out of me sometimes. So this year it was hard. And I was like, you know what? I feel like I got a lot to say. So that's kind of like where the whole blog thing came up. So I was like, life of a griever doesn't have to be just all sad and, you know, and mean and mad and angry. Like it's about anything and everything. There's no holds bar for me. I feel like I love to be unfiltered. And those who know me know that.
Yeah, and I love it. Listen, this is what we do here on the Divinely Crowned Conversations podcast too.
Yeah, I've kept it, you know, PG.
Yeah, she's like, listen, we ain't got enough time
but next time.
Next time. We definitely round 2.
You know, next time. But like seriously, I just kind of like, and when I take a break from my blog, you could tell I'm just not in, like I'm going through something.
Yeah.
And so then I'll get back on. Like I was gone for a little bit off my blog, so I just got back on again, and you know, and I just talked about comebacks, and I'm like, a comeback basically is you can come back whenever, like, and as many times as you need to. That's why it's called a comeback. Like
that's why I said that about the gym. I was just about to start back again. I'm about to. You hear that, Elaine? I'm about to start back to the gym, but a 1,000th time. So I literally just told myself, I'm like, it's okay. You starting again, girl. That's right. It's all right.
You start as many times as
you can start as many times. Just keep starting. So you guys definitely check out her blog, Life of a Blogger, Life of a Griever. Say that again. Yes, I ain't gonna say it one more time.
Life of a Griever.
And then .com. So check it out. I'm gonna check it out for sure.
Yeah, I mean, at some point I'll promote it a little bit more, but I just think it's more personal than it is. It's not about like, you know, getting exposure or whatever. I mean, I've only mentioned it a few times, and maybe like a handful of people know about it. I post pictures, you know, things like that or whatever. But, you know, and I created it all by myself. And I was like, oh, my God, this is hard work. Ew. I was like, I'm about to call Jaquila. Like, yeah. You know what I'm saying? I was like, yeah. I seen what she be doing. Yeah. I was like, I'm about to call this girl.
It's
like,
a lot.
I'm about to hire her. If this starts popping off, like, let me tell you.
You're going to have to. Kayla's with the girl right
she get
there.
A call. Like, listen, here.
Yes, let me go in these comments. Some Jeremiah 29:11 Friday. No, that's 29:1. I don't know what one that is.
I have no idea.
I know Jeremiah 29:11.
I don't know the Bible, y'all.
Yeah, somebody put in the comments yes. Go ahead and preach.
I love it.
Facebook user. Let me look at my comments because I cannot tell who Facebook user is. Oh, that's Elaine. I don't know what this little thing is. Elaine, thanks, what Elaine. Is that scripture? UB, she said, what did she say? She said they only want the story so true. Elaine again said, did someone say Jim? And then UB said they did, Elaine. And then Elaine said that's right. And then Elaine also did the little dancing girl.
Okay.
So let's fast forward. I know oh my goodness, we're at an hour. I love it here. I love these.
This has been a lot of fun.
Yes, I'm glad. So you are on a talk show. So tell me like how that came about, and is it something you wanted to do? I know you're on it with Sonia,
right? But
like, how did that come about? Like I said, is that something you wanted to do, or?
So I met Sonia years ago.
Okay.
Through a mutual friends, and we were just all like hanging out. And I was like, from the moment I met her, I was like, oh my God, girl, like I love you. And then I don't know, somehow she talked about like, you know, wanting to do a show one day, and also I was like, oh yeah, girl, you about to be the next Oprah for Erie. I said, I'm gonna be your girl, and like that was like always a joke. I love it. And so here I am her Latina girl.
Yeah.
You know? And so when she brought it up and said like she really wanted to really make this happen, I was like, hell yeah, girl, what you need me to do?
Oh, I love it.
I'm with it. And so it became a thing, and she like, you know, she vetted the women that she chose to brought on, because if those who've been following us, like we had other women on board before it came down to just like us four. And then Heather, who comes in, stands in when one of us can't be there. Heather. So she's great. I love her.
I love her
Canadian,
too.
So
yes, okay, very
Canadian,
strong.
Jamaican.
Yes,
Go ahead.
I love her so much. I just recently met her in person, and she was at my event. But beautiful, beautiful
she's
woman.
a little ball of energy.
Yes,
I love
she
it.
is.
But like it was like I didn't know what to expect from it, because I've never done like TV or any of that stuff. But once we started doing it, I was like, people are like, are you nervous? I'm like, no, literally, I'm not. I love it.
I know. Even when I was like, are you okay? You can, girl, this is what I do.
The first time I was like nervous about like how it was going to turn out, because it was my first time actually sitting, doing this whole talk show thing. And I was like, I could do this all the time. I was like, you know what I'm saying? Because I've watched the talk. I've watched the View.
Yeah.
I love me some Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah, okay. Real and raw.
Love her. And you know what I'm saying? I've watched The Real, which I love, those women. And so I've always like, I'm like, I can do this.
Yeah.
And I love to be able to talk about, just stuff that's important to our community. So it's been fun. I love it. And, I feel like it's just going to expose us to other things. And I feel like more opportunities are going to come from that. I keep hearing, Vanessa needs a podcast. And I
listen,
it's not off the table.
Anything.
I love to be unfiltered.
Yes.
And I love to be able to just talk about what I want to talk about, without the filter behind it.
For sure.
I don't know. I've talked to my kids about it. Like if I do one, I don't know why. I just want my kids somehow to be involved in it.
Yes.
Because those who know us, like we're funny.
Yeah.
We're a little, we are a mess.
I love you.
Fun mess.
I love me some Hezekiah. I never met your daughter, but Hezekiah is a sweetheart. Was at my event. And don't ask if you know his age. It's my business who I let at my event.
That's right.
Okay, so let's talk, because you have two other children. So what is the relationship like with your other two children?
Well, Hezekiah lives at home with me, so we just automatically see each other all the time. My daughter, even she doesn't live with me. She lives in Virginia. She's like, I ain't coming back, and I'm like, like I want you to come home. She's like, nope, visit, and she's back out again.
Yes.
She's just, she's in the phase of her life of figuring out what she wants to do with it. And I tell her all the time, there's no rush. Take your time. I said I didn't have a career until just a few years ago. So like, it's okay. So I love that for her, that she's just kind of taking her time and just figuring it all out for herself. And but we talk every day.
That's awesome. That's good.
We have a good relationship. I mean, we've had our moments where like we have talked about something that's like serious or whatever, and they're like, oh, you getting mad? And I'm like, it's not that I'm mad that you told me or that I'm mad at you. I'm mad at myself for not knowing or not realizing or not picking up on certain things, and things that happen, and I can't go back and change it and do anything about it. So one thing about the truth, that is a hard pill to swallow, but more so when it's your kids. Yeah. And I wish more parents would talk to their kids and let them give their perspectives about things. Yeah. So, my kids be like, you always get mad. I'm like, I am mad. I'm super mad. Aww. I'm like, but the reality is I'm not mad at them. I'm mad more at myself, because one thing I can't do is go back in time.
For sure.
And so those are things that I do have to live with. I'm learning to work on my regrets and kind of just letting it go, because I can't change it. Yeah. But not even with myself, like anything I've done with me, it's more so my regrets of things that happen when it comes to my kids and like those things, you know what I mean? Like that's, if I carry any guilt, is those are the things that I do carry. But I mean, we met my kids, we talk about anything and everything. It's really no holds bar. Good. I think even more so. Even sometimes I'm like, I don't even know if I wanted to know. Okay.
They're like, I'm not ready. My kids are 10 and 7. Oh, I want them to feel like that too. But I'm like, I ain't ready. Because even my 10-year-old be like, oh God, okay. Right.
Like, and the thing is, like, you just have to act like it doesn't bother you or nothing. But in the back of your mind, you're like, oh my God, I know. They just said that. But it's really like, it's a beautiful thing though, and it's crazy because just maybe like a few weeks ago, my daughter was like, she asked me, she was like, did you ever think that like we would be your best friends? Like, did you ever think like how the relationship is now? Like, how do you feel about that? Like, we're your friends. You know how you used to tell us, like, I ain't your friend.
Your little friend.
I ain't your friend. I ain't your little friend. But then when things happen with the kids with their friends, you like, I told you I'm your friend. You know, but they're like, wait, are you my friend or you not my friend? Right. You know. So, you know, we contradict ourselves and like we mess our own kids up.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But it was interesting for her to ask me that, you know, and I was like, now that you say that, yeah. And I was like, and my kids really truly are my best friends.
You could tell.
I talk to them about everything.
I love it.
Like, I don't even care.
They grown. Listen.
That's right. They still, you know, act like they not grown about certain things. Yeah. And I'm like, aren't you grown? They're like, but you're my mom. Yeah. And I'm like, okay. But I still like, I don't care. I love my kids to death. It's nothing I won't do for them. I will forever and always be there for them. Yeah. And, you know, whatever path they choose to take, like, I'm going to be right behind them. Mm-hmm. Right behind them.
Mama, yes.
You know, my daughter wants to open a coffee shop one day. Girl, you're going to have your coffee shop.
I know that's right.
And I'm going to be right there.
Yes.
You know, Hezekiah want to go to graduate school. Like, I'm right there. Like, where we going? Okay. We going to NYU?
Yes.
Mom's coming too. Like, okay.
I love it. I love it. And those are important relationships to have with your kids. I know we're even in a day and age where a lot of people are healing from trauma, family trauma, and all these things. And it's like, you know, it's like, I know for me, I'm so cautious sometimes, like, okay, I don't want like them to have to heal, but it's natural. It's going to happen. We're humans. We're not perfect. We didn't get the manual on how to be parents, but like at the end of the day, like I feel like you can say like I did that. Like my kids still want to be in my life. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of kids when they get older and old enough to leave. It's like, yeah, no, I'm out.
Your job does not end when they turn 18.
No, for sure. At all.
And I'm about to be 42 next month, and I still rely on my mom for stuff. Yes. You know what I mean? Like. And the thing is, we want our kids to rely on us.
For sure.
We want them to be self-sufficient. Yes. But at the same time, like, your kids still needing from you. Yeah. Like, just needing for you to be their parent. That never ends. That never ends. And I'm like, I don't care if I'm 85.
Okay.
Like, listen here. I'm coming through my walker.
Exactly.
Like,
period.
Listen here.
Yes.
Listen, call me Sophia. Okay. Like, I'm coming.
So let's go to the comments. I try to keep up with the comments because I love having everybody interact. Yes. So, Marie, she said, hey, ladies. Marie Johnson. She said, love it. And then Elaine, she put it, I thought it was, she said, Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope in a future. That is one of my favorite scriptures. That's why I figured that's what you're saying, but I was like, let me just make sure, because you might know something I don't know. Marie said, yes. Marsha said, yes, I know. It's a good reminder. It's a good reminder. Like, listen, no matter where you are, what level in this life, like, he already got your plans figured out. You just got to keep walking and let him open any doors. So Marsha said, that's awesome. And Asia, she said how it should be with the relationship with your children. So a question I've been asking, and I'm going to continue to ask. So what would you tell young Vanessa at this age, getting ready to be 42? What would you tell her?
Because if I had the time, people would know that my story is like a lifetime series, like some craziness. So I guess allowing yourself to like just show yourself some grace even at a young age. We don't even know what that means. I didn't even know what that means until recently in my life to even show myself that. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I'm cool, you know? So I feel like showing yourself some grace at a young age, I don't think we teach that enough. At a younger age. No. Even if they don't fully understand it, it's not for them they don't need to understand it yet. They'll understand it when it's meant for them. So I feel like showing myself some grace, because whatever happened to me, no matter how bad it was, I had to go through that. You know what I'm saying? So I know that was not going to change. That's never going to change. So I think allowing myself to just show myself some grace, and that what I was going through wasn't going to last forever. You know, telling yourself that it will get better one day. Because I don't think, you don't really think about that. You're like, you think your life's never going to change. Like, it's always going to be so bad and painful and just, you know, just all the bad things that were happening. You just feel like it's just not going to change. And I really feel like now that I'm older, I'm more understanding of, like, no matter what, I had to go through that. You know, I used to be like, man, why did I have kids so young? You know, I wish I would have, you know, been older and things like that. And I'm like, no, Elijah was meant to be here when I was 17. You know, and though he was only here for 16 years, that was what he was meant for, was those 16 years. You know, if I was meant to have 3 kids by the age of 20, that was what was meant for me. And I do feel like had those things didn't happen to me, I would have not finished school. You know, I would have never furthered my education. And I really believe I wouldn't be where I am today. Like, I feel like I would have been in a worse off situation in my life. Like, I would have been on a different path. And I really strongly believe that. So I feel like that's why I became a young mom and things of that nature. And I'm not saying that girls should go out and have kids at a young age. By all means, please don't. Please enjoy your youth, live it up. You know, enjoy having the responsibility of only being responsible for yourself. And these little boys, girl, look, the ocean is wide. You know, there's deep so many fish we ain't even seen yet. They ain't been discovered. Get out there and discover them.
Discover the fish.
You know what I'm saying? Listen here. So it's just like, just showing myself grace. I wish I'd have learned that at a younger age, that wasn't going to be my final destination.
Yeah, it wasn't until like the last few years I even understood what it means to have grace, like for yourself, for others, that God's grace. So I get it. Like, yeah, I totally get that.
And that healing is a lonely journey.
It is a lonely
when you make the decision that you want to heal.
Say that. Come on and preach. Go ahead.
It is a lonely journey.
It is.
Because that journey is only meant for you. And I mean, I've lost people that I love. We are no longer connected. I still love them. And I wish them the ultimate best. But it was a journey I had to take by myself. And so because sometimes people don't understand that, they don't even understand that that's the journey you're headed into, which I didn't know I was until I started to say it out loud. Like, I need to heal. I want to heal, and I'm going to heal. And I'm still in that healing process. Yeah. So it is a lonely journey, but like, I don't feel alone because I know I'm not. Yeah. So
I love that. Yeah, I totally agree. The healing journey is very lonely and you feel very misunderstood, but it's a powerful thing. I was just actually talking to a cousin today. We're talking about the healing journey and things. And I was like, listen, it takes a strong person to even want to heal, because it's easy to just stay in the pain, the trauma, the whatever you're going through, and just be like, well, this is who I am. And I'm not going to change and whatever. But it takes a strong person to say, like, yeah, no, I don't want to be like this.
Because you got to think about who you can be.
Yeah.
And those possibilities is endless.
Yeah, for sure.
They really are. And I say, like, I love who I am today. You know, despite the coming and goings of people in my life and you know, the loss and all that stuff, like, I love who I am today. Like, people probably may think at times, like, oh, she thinks she better and she conceited. No, you think that. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Like, I'm confident with myself. I feel good. Like, I feel good about myself. I love who I am, you know, and who I just keep becoming and becoming, because you should be evolving. Yeah. You should never be stagnant and staying the same. And you should be constantly learning, you know. Constantly. So, like, I love where I'm at right now in my life. Like, this stage, like, I just do. And, I love that I'm for you. Going with it.
Yes, for sure. I love that for you, because it's listen, you be out here glowing. Okay, let me get in these comments, and then I got 2 more questions for you. Asia, she said it's crazy at a young age. We really don't know the half of what's to come as adults, and to think about it, the disconnection that can bring between a parent and a child. Marcia said, say it again. And then she said the journey definitely is lonely. It is. But I even just posted today, like, oh no, yesterday I posted about how, it's not our fault always what happens to us, but it's our responsibility to heal from those things.
Is.
And if we're not healing, we're only hurting ourselves. So it's, and you, like you said, it's a constant every day journey. It just like grief, it's an everyday journey of figuring out how to handle it and things. And I know you have so much other stuff I would love to hear. But listen, I know you got, listen, you're a busy lady. So, but I do have a question, because going back to
free when you need me.
Yes, we will definitely have another.
I love you.
Yeah, I love you too.
So, like, I love everything you're doing.
Thank you.
Like, I've been attracted to that. Like,
thank you.
Every time I'm like, oh, let me see what you're doing or what she posting. And
oh,
yes, I'm definitely attracted to everything that you got going on. So
I appreciate it.
Kudos and keep it going.
Thank you. I'm working, y'all. This is hard.
Divina Reina.
Yeah. Okay. What's that?
Divinely crowned.
Real say it again.
Divina Reina.
Wow, that's literally my name.
Because queen is reina in Spanish. Divina is divine.
Yes.
But, Divina Reina.
Y'all heard that? I can't say it, but she said it for me.
I got you, girl.
Thank you. My Hispanic sister.
Okay.
So, talking about I'm sorry. Not Divinely Crowned. Talking about confidence, because Divinely Crowned is all about confidence. So what would you share with you saying, like, people be saying you're conceited and things like that? Like, what would you say to a young woman out there about confidence and just walking in who they are unapologetically?
Just be unapologetically yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if you're bothered, be unbothered. Because at the end of the day, it's your life. You gotta live it. No one's in your shoes.
Yeah.
They're not in your position.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Even if you're paying my bills, so what?
Right.
You're not me. So I feel like young people, men and women, young girls, young boys, like, just be who you want to be. It's your life. It doesn't matter who doesn't like it. Even if it's your parents, it is your life. You're the one that's got to live it. You're the one that's got to deal with the consequences, good or bad. You know what I'm saying? So just do you.
Do you, boo-boo.
And that's it. Like, and don't be afraid to say no.
Yes, we did talk about that.
and don't be afraid to just, I don't even see you.
Yeah.
Because that's how unbothered I don't even see you. And I really experienced that recently, seeing somebody that, it's not that I don't like them because I don't know them, but it was somebody who apparently has an issue with me. And somebody was like, you didn't see them? They was talking to you. I was like, that was them. I said, I told you, I don't see you.
You don't see.
And I meant that.
And that's
but
good.
It was great things coming out of their mouth. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, thanks. I appreciate that, But I didn't even know it was them because that's just like, my focus is not on that. If you with the mess, negative and all that, I don't even see
We ain't got time for that.
I don't got you to do.
Yeah. I love you so much.
I don't. I be like, I don't got
She's a whole vibe, y'all. Y'all don't see. She's a whole vibe on here. But that's good because I'm not just young people, adults, especially in this world we live in now. There's so many different opinions.
Oh my gosh.
So many different opinions.
Right.
What you should do, what you shouldn't do, who you should be, how you should be. And it's just like, listen, like this is your life. Right. And you need to just walk in the way you want to walk. And those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind. Right?
That's
Did
right.
I say that right?
And if you want to say, then you better pay.
Yeah. If you want to say, you better pay.
Yeah, you want to say in my life.
Oh, I know that's right. Somebody pay me, please.
Right.
Asia, she said, you're doing great, Davina. Thank you. Thank you for your support too. You definitely be supporting. So before I let you go, is there anything else you want to say, share, anything you're like, dang, I wish you would have touched on this? Anything. It's your floor.
I think you did well. You know what I'm saying? I told you, like, whatever. You can ask me whatever you want.
Yeah.
And I really am pretty open. those who know or don't know, like I really am,
Mm-hmm.
and my social medias are public.
Mm-hmm.
People are like, why is public? Because I want it to be. My life has been public for 7 years.
Yeah.
I didn't ask for it,
Yeah.
but I allowed it to be that way because there was a purpose behind it. And if I don't want you to know something, you're just not gonna know about it. But for the most part, like I'm a pretty open individual. Like I know I'm a cool person. You know what I mean? I like to have fun, good time.
You do.
But I also like to discuss things that are serious and what's happening in the world. I do care. But like, keep out. You never know what's coming next.
You never know what's coming out.
No, you
next.
don't. So.
Listen, as you should not never know until it comes out.
Exactly.
Well, Vanessa, I just want to say thank you. I want to give you your flowers just for being a strong, powerful Latina queen that you are.
Thank you.
You are definitely an inspiration. And I just thank you for sharing even a part of your story, because I know there's so much, and you will definitely be back on the Divinely Crowned Conversation podcast. Don't worry.
Can't wait.
Yes.
Thank you for having me on.
Thank you so much. And to everyone out there that took the time to watch tonight, I hope that, Vanessa's story impacted you in some way, a positive way, just to continue to love on people, be positive, and just, stop the violence, please. Please stop the violence, and just encourage your loved ones to do the same. But until next time, just remember to like Divinely Crowned on all the platforms that y'all know Divinely Crowned is on, okay? Y'all know Divinely Crowned is everywhere, okay? Just know, and we are gonna have another guest real soon. So once again, Vanessa, thank you.
Yes,
and
thank you.
I'm excited, just to see what's next in your life and even to connect with you more outside of here. So, all right, everybody, we're gonna get off of this, and you all have a great night.
Yes, buenas noches.
Yes.